Hey, Rich,
Hey, Michael.
and welcome everybody to BitPunch Radio episode 063. On tonight's episode, we are going to be we haven't got together in a month, so we got a lot to cover. I have finished 3 video games since
Ooh.
we have spoken last. Been going through the new, not new, but a new John Gwynn series. To me, started the Malice. I'm blanking on what the series is. It's like a whatever it is, his quadrilogy.
hmm
Um, looks like you've been playing some. Oh, you started Hi-Fi Rush too. Let's talk about Hi-Fi Rush,
I
man.
did. I did. Yeah.
And you're getting into Alloy of Law. You finished Tress, I'm assuming.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it. What do you want to talk about first?
Um. What do you want to hear about?
Let's talk about books first.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
talk.
I finished Tress. I think the last time we recorded, I was like
You're
90% there.
yeah, right.
Um. Really liked that book. Um. Definitely, again with Sanderson, he likes to kind of build, 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 and then the last, 10 to 5% is just
Right.
craziness.
Yeah.
And he seems to be much more into like the crossovers in the Cosmere. This is a Cosmere book, um, so it ends pretty wild. I think you were a little meh on the ending. You said,
I
um,
yeah, it was okay. I thought overall the book was good, but I don't know. I it's weird to like nitpick a book like this, because it's
yeah,
not like he
yeah,
set out to write like this epic thing. It's really
right,
like a pretty contained story about Tress and like this small group of people that she interacts with on the ship. But I just thought like the supporting cast, there wasn't a whole lot of meat to them. I didn't build up too much of a relationship with them. I think they were kind of like they fed the story. Like Tress was the main character, um, but yeah, I almost wanted it to be a little longer. I think, um, to kind of flesh out a little bit more about it. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he literally does take like 60 people on the boat and call them all Doug
Right.
because he doesn't
Yeah.
because he doesn't
So
have time to like talk about them.
right.
And well, I guess Hoyd doesn't. Um,
Right.
and there's like 6 or 7 like real characters there. um I kind of agree with you. I did get a little attached to some of those characters, but some kind of felt a little, you know a little bare for his
Mm-hmm.
style. But again, it's like
Sure.
a 300-page book or something,
Right.
with a lot to kind of a lot crammed in there. Like it just kind of goes once it starts. There's not a lot of build up. um and yeah, the end of that book is really weird. I definitely like the Hoyd aspect of it, like his like way of telling the story was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, the end of that book is just kind of bananas
Hmm. Right.
in a weird way.
Yeah. I
And
think
I
we
think
we
it
may.
ties into Warbreaker or Elantris.
Yeah, she's
And
like almost like a
I
character from it. Getting a little spoiler there, but yeah.
yeah,
Um.
yeah,
Yeah. The I love Hoyd as the narrator. Um.
yeah,
I think like the childish humor, like Sanderson doesn't always get me with his humor. Some of it can kind of like samey. Um, and I think as I've been reading a lot of his books over these past couple years, I am starting to see like he does have a rhythm that he kind of sticks with. It works
yeah,
though. Especially like this second era of Mistborn, I can kind of see like the patterns that he likes to stick with. But like the world building and the relationships and the dialogue and all that around it all kind of has a uniqueness to it. But he does kind of have like a structure to his books. Um,
yeah.
I did think Hoyd, like some of the writing was not great. Like just kind of the jokes kind of fell flat. But then he would have these like really intimate conversations with you, like the
Yes.
reader, like explaining the world, and then he would just like kind of end it with like a fart. And it was just like,
Right.
well,
Like,
like
literally. Yeah.
yeah, and right. And I mean, that is kind of his character depending on like, the setting that he's in, but because like he's so different than like uh um the Final Empire. Like in
Right.
there, he's only in it just for like a few pages, but I don't know,
Right.
he's there's such a mystery to him. And then in here he's just this like almost like Olaf type character, just like but not but he has like layers to him that
Yeah.
Sanderson does a good job at kind of like fleshing that stuff out. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, overall, I liked it. I think it's a good kind of standalone Cosmere novel.
mhm.
That definitely ties in some things
It makes me want to
from
go
the
back and
Cosmere.
read Warbreaker.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'll, I need to get to that. Um, so yeah, I finished Tress. I did get my hardcover edition of Tress
Oh,
as part of the Kickstarter. That thing is very nice.
nice.
It came with some like little swag in it. I got a Vin pin
Mm.
uh, that's gonna go on my my uh my Gen Con lanyard.
Oh,
Because
nice.
I'm
Okay.
because I'm a really big nerd.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. It's wild.
um,
I went out and not to tangent, but I went out and had drinks with my director from work. And we just got to talking and I can't remember what brought this up. Oh, we were talking about video games and
yeah.
we brought up Fortnite. And he was just like, "Yeah, he goes, I don't he goes, I've never played Fortnite, but I told a friend of mine that I heard that there was a skin that came out for Fortnite
Oh no.
that he really wanted." And he was just like, "I've never played Fortnite, but I told him he has to buy Kelsier." And I was just like, I'm a few drinks into it and I'm like, "Hold on. What do you mean Kelsier? What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Do you know who Kelsier is?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know who Kelsier is." Like I talk about him a lot. And he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, I'm like a huge Cosmere fan." And I was like, "I don't know anyone that reads these books." And he goes, "Me neither."
Right.
So then
Right.
like he pulls out his like Audible account and turns out like him and his significant other, they like fall asleep listening to Brandon Sanderson books.
Oh boy.
And so like they've read all the Cosmere and they're going through it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just thought that was so cool. It's like, man,
That's pretty cool.
I found one in the wild, let alone like
Yep.
he's a coworker of mine. So,
Yep. That's pretty cool. That's
um,
pretty cool.
but yeah, so anyway, so back to that though, he bought like the big $550 like
Oh, okay.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's where all that came from. But yeah, so like I want him to send me pictures of stuff when he gets these swag bags in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, that hardcover is super duper nice. It's got like full page art in it. That's really cool. Like colored, like full page colored art. They're very very nice. I think they're for sale like standalone now. I think they're like 50 or $60, which is a lot of money for
wow.
a hardcover book. But
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. Like I've seen like some of the other prices of like really nice hardcover, like Lord of the Rings editions and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And this is up. I think this is up there with those types of like really
Sure, like full color
niche.
art and stuff, like
Yeah,
that costs a lot more money to print than just black and white pages, so
yeah,
I could
yeah,
see that.
yeah. So I finished Dress, and then I started and finished Alloy of Law. So I
Oh,
finished it.
okay. Alright.
Yeah, I burned through that. I burned through that before like last Wednesday when we were gonna podcast. I was already done with it.
Yeah,
I
wow.
I was done with that in like 4 days. Um, I really liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I did too.
It's got a lot of like a lot of crossover from the trilogy, books 1 through 3.
Like the city
Um,
name?
oh god, yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah. I
one
love
that
that
I
they
wanted to tell you so bad, but
yeah, yeah. I love that they refer to Vin as like the ascendant warrior.
Right, yeah.
It's like she would hate that shit.
Oh, I know
She would fucking hate
it.
that, And there's definitely, and like the ending of that book is pretty wild. With a certain character that just shows up out of nowhere. Um, I don't really want to spoil that, but uh, I guess the way that I've been thinking about how to describe that book, and to me it is Mistborn Batman. Wayne
Okay,
Waxilium is Mistborn Batman. He is
right.
Batman. He is smarter than everybody else. He
Yeah.
has all the gadgets.
He has all the money.
He's he's always, yep, he's got all the money. He's always 3 steps ahead. Like it is literally, it's Mistborn Batman. And
Right.
at least that book. I don't know about the rest of the series. He's got the goofy sidekick. He's got the smart, kind of intelligent, female sidekick.
He's got
Um,
women, multiple
yep,
women.
yep, yep. So I definitely like that book quite a bit. Um, and I more like how he kind of ties it into the original trilogy. It's definitely interesting to see some of the changes like after what happens at the end of the third book,
Mhm.
because they're pretty crazy. I
Right.
mean, the whole world is basically changed after that third book. So it's really interesting. I feel like not a lot of authors get a chance to really do that. Like, oh, I spent 3 books writing this whole story, and kind of the world kind of begins anew, and now I get to write a whole nother story in that same world,
Mhm.
300 years later. Um, I really liked it though. I liked the banter between like Wax and Wayne, and like the
Mhm.
new allomantic and ferrochemical powers they introduced, like with the speed bubbles and
Yeah.
like all that stuff is pretty cool. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited to read the next one. I'm gonna keep burning through those, and probably take a break at some point here in the next couple months and try to tackle Rhythm of War. Um,
Yeah.
at some point here before the beginning, before like in this first half of this year, I want to try to tackle Rhythm of War. Yeah.
I have the Audible of that, and I'm taking some time off work to paint, and I think
Mm.
I'm gonna start it then. I'm just gonna listen to and paint ceiling.
Yep.
Like, it'll help, I'll have, Like a Dragon Ishin to play on my breaks, so I'll be listening
Yeah.
to Rhythm of War and playing Like a Dragon on my Steam Deck. I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so
Yep.
I
That's my
uh,
books.
so I started Mistborn 5,
Okay.
um, and I'm maybe 40% into it. Um, it has even more callbacks to the OG, and it starts. e- e- I don't want to get too far into it, but like he definitely starts. Uh, there are more characters. I'll just say that. I mean, that I don't know how much of a spoiler that is, but like you'll there's just a lot more callbacks to the original trilogy. Um, and I just like took my daughter to tennis, and so I was reading a little there, and like I just got introduced to this new character that probably is like one of those like, oh, switcheroo, I'm this woman, but now I'm secretly like someone else. I feel like they're going with something like that, but um yeah, it's cool, and how they use like certain characters that we all know is really interesting in this one so far. It
Mm.
starts super slow. Like I think I'm about 30% into it. Like I'm starting to understand like where the direction is going. So
Okay.
it does start a little slow to kind of pick up the story. But I felt like Mistborn Book 2 kind of did that too. So
Yes.
and this
Yeah.
being shorter, it's picking up, but still really enjoying those. I'll probably just finish the quadrilogy. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get through all four of them.
Yeah.
I really want to read the Lost Metal. That one is, for some reason, it's just people saying that there's so much crossover in it. Like I want to read it and like watch all the YouTube tutorial, or not tutorials, but the theories
Yeah.
of like this ties into this and that. But I got to be careful because I'm not caught up with Stormlight. So But I did finish Malice, which is John Gwynn's the Fallen and the Faithful or
Faith in the
something.
Fallen?
Yeah,
Faith
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
Fallen or something? Yeah,
Um, that book was incredible. Um,
really? Okay.
but the problem with it is maybe a little bit of the problem that I have with him as a writer is he just doesn't stop. Like I had to look it up because I was having trouble with this book, and I talked to you about this before. They introduced 70 characters in the first 10 chapters.
Whew.
Um, and it's just like Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, but like Game of Thrones would do that when they'd be like, "This is Jon Snow, son of this character, brother of this," blah blah blah. Like, and they do that in this book a lot, and there are Excel charts of trying to keep up with these characters, but then like so many of them get murdered, and so really there's like a core 20 to 25 characters that you really really get intimate with in this book. But like people get murdered left and right. And the problem with this book is like the pacing is just so off. Because like
Mm,
somebody will die and it's like two sentences and then they just move on. Like I mean, he just is nonstop. And some people love that about books, where it's just like such a rapid pace. Um
mhm.
and I do to an extent, but I really think like he could probably got a whole nother book if he would just like slow down a little bit. But um it's really good. Rich, you gotta read it.
Yeah.
It's so much. I mean, it's his Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Um, and it's got so many cool characters. I love Corbin. I love like it does the multiple viewpoints, but in this book there's like 7 or 8 different viewpoints. Um, there is a lot going on. It's a cool world. It's a super dark world. It's about like a war between people and giants. Um,
Oh, whoa, okay.
like everyone has, or not everyone, but like most of the kings and like the high guards and stuff have hounds with them. So there's
Mm.
like a lot of animals. Um, then there's like wolf hounds, which are like forbidden. Then there's one that comes into play in the story, and it's really interesting. Um, yeah, that's a great book. You ever find time to start a
Yeah.
3,000 page new I guess it's a quadrilogy. So I think there's a quadrilogy, and then he does a thing where he wrote like a trilogy that's based in that world. Um,
Oh,
that's
okay.
set like many many years later. So um, yeah, good book. Been reading a lot of good books lately. Um, I finished Berserk book 2. I'm reading book 3. The most depressing shit I've ever read. I don't know why I keep pushing through it. Because my gosh, it's dark. But
Mm.
it's really really well written. And then Chainsaw Man is just fun. It's goofy and interesting. I liked the show, and the manga is pretty good too. I've tried to get my kids to read a manga, and they absolutely hate the fact that you have to read it backwards.
Ah,
They can't do
okay.
it. They're like, nope, because they like My Hero and Dragon Ball and stuff, and I'm just like, you should check out the books. So then I put it on. I grabbed it from Libby, put it, and they're just like, why am I flipping? I'm like, well, you got to start at the top right, work your way to the bottom left. And they're like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
All right, what's help? What else you been up to? So let's talk about some video games because I want to talk about
Okay.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay.
Um,
Um, I haven't played my Steam Deck too much because every time I pick it up, I just play Vampire Survivors.
oh no.
I've come to the conclusion I have to delete it.
mm,
Um, because literally I pick it up and it's just right there, and I'm like, yeah, all right, let's just do a 20-minute run, and
yeah.
then I don't play any other games, and then like my time is up, and
Wow.
I have to delete that game. Um, so I haven't played much Steam Deck. I did play download Hi-Fi Rush. Um, I saw some people on Twitter talking about it, and I was like, oh, it's on Game Pass. I've got some time. Let me play that instead of
Sure.
picking up the Steam Deck and playing more Vampire Survivors. Um, that game is the giant bomb circa 2008. It's
Yeah.
got style.
Yes.
That
Right.
game has a lot of style.
It does.
It it is made by I can't remember the developer, the people that made The Evil Within, which is
Tango.
such a weird crossover.
Right.
Um, it feels like an old Sega game.
Yeah.
It is very like Jet Set Radio, very uh obviously very music inspired. Starts off with a banger Black Keys song.
Hmm.
Um, and just everything about it is music. It's a rhythm based or music based like over the shoulder like third person action adventure
It's like
game.
a Bayonetta
Yes,
style game.
yes. But like everything like in the world and like so your character will be standing there and like there's a beat, like there's a beat happening, right? And he's sitting there and he's clicking his fingers,
Yep.
to the beat or he's like tapping his heel to the beat. And so every time you press an attack, he's he's always hitting on beat. Whether you push it on beat or not, he's always hitting on beat. But if you push it on beat, you do extra damage.
Right.
And so it's got this like very like cell shaded, like it's just got style.
Hmm.
And if you haven't if you're listening to this and you haven't seen it yet, look up a trailer and watch it. And you'll know what I'm trying to get across here through words. Um, but it just has that style and it's committed to it. Like in every fabric of its being, it's committed to that beat
Yep.
and that attitude that it has of Chai. Is his name Chai?
Yeah.
Chai.
Chai.
Um, just the attitude that it has. It is very committed to its thing, right? Um, and I think it works for me at least. I thought it was fun. I only played it for about an hour.
Okay.
Um, haven't gotten too far. See, and so this was stealth dropped at the Xbox Direct that was a couple weeks ago.
Right.
They had a direct where they talked about a few different games that we'll get into later, but this one was just like, "Oh, hey, here's this game, and it's out right now on Game
Right.
Pass." They
Worked on
did
it
one
for
of
five
those, and
years.
right, yeah, yeah. So nobody, I don't think many people knew up until like the day that this direct happened that this was coming. So that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
So it's kind of that it's kind of like this is why like Game Pass exists, right? Like it's oh
Right.
here's this game and now we just put it on this thing that you all have access to and you can just play it right now. Like and you don't have to pay money for it right now. It's part of your subscription. Um, that's kind of the beauty of that service in a way. But it does seem like it's doing really well on Steam even
Hmm.
through like direct sales and direct download. Um, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, I haven't gotten that far into it, but it is very. It's one of those games that comes out like at this time of year that just kind of hits, and it seems like it's hit, and it's. It seems like these games are just always very committed to their style and very committed to like whatever their shtick is, and this game has that specific shtick, and
Hmm.
people seem to like it. Um, the only person I've heard say that they don't like it very much is Alex Navarro from Nextlander, which he originally when it got released or dropped that day, I saw him tweeting. He's like, "Guys, I like this game, but all this music sucks. Bad, so like it's like from your dad's iPod. Like, why did they put this music in this game? Like,
I like it.
and he's like a music nerd
Right.
and he plays
I'm
like
not
the
at
drums
all.
and is like in a band and I'm not at all. Yeah, so I can understand where he's coming from, but he was the only person that I actually saw be a little bit cynical about some of it, but I think he's kind of come around on it though. But
Hmm.
so if you're sensitive to old music, maybe not, but yeah.
So I finished it.
Oh my god. Okay.
um, I really like this game. If I give it a review, I think on my GameTrack.app I gave it an 8. Um, it has some issues. I think it recycles some stuff. The platforming is not great.
Mm,
Um, but it has a lot of cool moments. Like it's got Ratchet and Clank elements to it where you're in like grinding on gears and
uh,
dodging things. There are uh there are good moments of like discoverability, so you're collecting things to make Chai stronger. You're always like in a Ratchet and Clank game, you're collecting bolts, and in this game, you're collecting, I don't know what the hell those little things are, just like bolts or whatever it is, to make Chai
Right.
stronger. Like, have you unlocked like any new characters? Like, you haven't made it that
No.
far, have you?
No, I haven't. Nope.
Um, so the really cool thing with this game is, you start unlocking new characters, that you can use to fight with.
Okay.
And that helped it a lot, because I think the game's only like 11 hours long, and so it does not overstay its welcome at all. It wraps up really, really cool. There's a really good Nine Inch Nails song that plays, and it just works so well. If you get there, you'll know instantly. You'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh fuck, man, this moment is perfect." Um, did you watch the Mitchell versus the Machines?
No.
Okay, so that is a movie about robots taking over, and these robots will draw on their face to like
Mm.
emote. There's a character in this game called Cinnamon that does exactly that. There are
Okay.
sexy anime ladies, Corsica and uh oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name, but like there's a really cool colorful cast of characters that you'll interact with, and you can kind of like summon them that are on a cooldown, but you can upgrade Chai to where you can summon them like quicker. And it gets
Uh,
to this point where the rhythm of it like really starts getting crazy, because you'll be like cycling and mashing like R1 and R2 or whatever it is on an Xbox controller. Hold on, going right here. RB and RT, you'll be
yeah.
like cycling and mashing, or LT and RT. You'll be like cycling to like summon all these people that'll like drop down and like fight and like do their thing real quick and bounce. Um, but like when you were talking like to the beat, I mean, it's just really cool to see how all this works. And you kept saying it's got style, and it looks like a Saturday morning cartoon, and like it'll flip
Yes.
from in game to like these really nice
Yes.
cutscenes. And it's just like, oh, I love like how they blend
Yes.
all this together, where like it'll seamlessly go, almost like Chai will just turn and then it'll
Yep.
be into the cutscene, and it's just like, that is, oh, I love that so
Yes.
much.
Yes. This is definitely one of those. There's a few games that have done this in the past, and I can't remember what they are that have like that in art cutscene
Hmm.
and in animation cutscene, and then it cuts to gameplay, and it's just seamless. Like there's no
Yes.
loss in like graphics or fidelity or frame rate, and it's just like, oh, that's just the game. Like it looks that good from an animation perspective.
Yeah,
So
and it's funny, like it's very well written. I mean, the beginning of it got me, where like Chai is laying in the bed, and his iPod essentially, or his iPod
yeah,
like hits his chest, and this thing like implants in his chest, so that's like where he's getting the rhythm at. But it does this thing where the bed like raises and like pushes him against the wall, and
yep.
like it's almost like the Peter Griffin of like him like hurting his knee. Like you see Chai just rolling around for like maybe 2 or 3 seconds too long, and it got me. I mean, I was cracking up at that.
The There's a little part where he's right after that where he's getting his clothes back on and he's trying to get his shoe in,
Oh, and he
and he
does
like
the
slips his shoe in, but his heel on his shoe is caught. Like
yeah,
everybody's ever done that before, like tried to put
right.
your shoes on while they're tied, and he like sits there and he's like trying to work his heel in, and it does it for like an uncomfortable amount of time, and it's just like, oh, okay. And that's
And,
like 10 that's like 7 minutes into the game, and it's just
right.
like, "Nope, this is what we're doing, like, this is the tone we're setting," and that's what I mean, like, it's a lot of little things, like, it's committed to that
Yeah.
tone and, like, that style. Yeah.
Yeah, like um people were like poo-pooing on the trailer cuz it does the thing of like, you probably wonder how I got here. And like
Oh,
that's like the worst thing about the game, was that the beginning of that trailer, because it does it like, it commits to it, but it's never like, Chai is a dipshit. But like he's just a dipshit that like everything just works out for him.
yeah,
And so,
yeah,
man, I can't like stick with this game, because it definitely
yeah.
goes places. and it's it's a little spoilery, but he always throws bad ideas out, and at some point they are like he wears people down, and
Yeah.
it's just really good. That was a really fun game. My kids watched me play a little bit of it, which is why I was able to sneak in a little more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they just came out like what 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Finished it yesterday. That was fun. Um, and I love the stealth drop about it.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I also downloaded the Steam World demo and maybe played it for like 30 minutes and then turned it off for some reason, thinking it would save my progress, and it didn't. So I was like,
Oh,
well,
no.
it doesn't do
Oh,
that. So I was like, I don't want to do this 30 minutes again. So I'll just wait till the game
yeah.
comes out. But it seemed pretty solid.
It
Um,
did. Yeah. Yeah. I liked it.
I didn't make it to like the underground stuff. I was just going through the tutorial of like setting up, um but I don't know why I'm like this, but I'm really bad about those types of games cuz I want to make everything in like perfect squares. And I'll just
Yeah.
make that road like one too long, and then I'll try to connect it cuz everything connects to like a train track in this game, right?
Right.
And so I'll try to connect it and just be like slanted a little bit, and I'm just like I don't know, like my brain just can't compute that. Like I have to make it
Yeah.
perfect, and or I'm like deleting everything and starting over.
Yeah, it made it pretty easy to, like, delete and, like, move
Yeah.
around and stuff. It was kinda low stakes as far as that goes. Very SimCity-like, like, you have to have a lot of different buildings close enough to all of your, like, residential stuff. I did get to the underground stuff, but just for a little bit, and then
Okay.
I exited the game thinking it would save. Um, I haven't went back in, so maybe it didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it
Um,
does, but at
yeah,
least it didn't for me.
yeah. But I liked it. I'll definitely give that a try when it comes out. I don't know when it launches. I'm guessing sometime soon, sometime in the spring, maybe.
Have you do you have any experience with any of their other games?
Nope,
Okay, so
0.
I loved SteamWorld Dig 2.
Hmm.
That was a really really cool game. And then I like how the studio is like willing to just try new things. I don't know how they're getting their funding. But they're just like, we're gonna make a card game now. All right, now we'll make a sequel to the game where you just keep digging underground. All right, well now we're gonna make a heist game. It's just like that's cool. That's almost like the company that makes Hades, like and Bastion. What is their name?
Supergiant.
Yeah, Supergiant, where they're just kind of like, all right, now we're gonna develop a new sport. We're gonna make a game around it. It's
Right.
like that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool that you all can get funding for that. Um, all right. So, any other games for you?
Nope.
All right. So, I have played Pokemon Scarlet, Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, and Pocket Jockey.
Hmm.
Any of those you want me to talk about?
What is Pocket Jockey?
All right. So, Pocket Jockey is an Apple Arcade game. It is made by Game Freak, believe it or not, and
Okay.
it is a horse racing game that you
Oh, okay.
play
Okay.
solitaire to.
Okay.
And
I've
so,
seen this before.
yeah, so it is one of
Yeah.
those games that like you can hop in, feel a little bit of accomplishment in 5 or 10 minutes and bounce. And
Yeah.
so I haven't played it this past week, but I installed it and probably put about 3 or 4 hours into it. I'll probably uninstall it. I don't know if I'll stick with it. But there's a lot of moving pieces to it, and I think uh the like solitaire aspects of it is pretty cool. Um, it's goofy as hell, man. So this game, like, you start out where they're like, you're a jockey and you're gonna race this horse, and you're like, all right. So you go to get on this horse, and this horse kicks the fuck out of you and kills you. So then you go up to like the pearly gates, and they're like, hey, it's not your time. We're gonna send you back down to Earth, and you're gonna continue to race horses. And your guy, he's always just says like one line. He's like, all right, sounds good. So then anytime you start the game, they're like, all right, you got a G1 race coming. Are you ready? And he goes, I'm prepared. And like, that's all his character will ever say.
Hmm.
It's goofy.
I feel like this has been out for a long time. Wasn't this a DS game?
I think it was a 3DS game or maybe a
Okay.
DS game, and then it came out for Apple Arcade.
Okay. Okay. I know I've heard this before
Yeah.
from somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Game Freak, I know they do other stuff besides Pokemon, and this was just one of them.
Hmm.
Speaking of Pokemon, I have played and finished Pokemon Scarlet,
Why do you
which
do this to yourself?
so the thing is, Rich, is I can't remember outside of Arceus, which I don't say is a mainline because it's so different. I can't remember the last time I finished a mainline Pokemon game. I think it was like on the Game Boy Advance because I never finished any on the DS, never finished
Really?
any on the 3DS. I've played a couple of them, but I've never finished them. I'd
Hmm.
get 2, 3 gems into it and just bounce.
Arceus is a mainline Pokemon game. It's the Pokemon game.
But there's no like you're not fighting gyms. I mean, you're not. It doesn't have like that.
Uh,
It doesn't have any of that. You fight like a
hmm.
couple giants. Um. So we don't have to dive too deep into Scarlet. Um. It was fine. Um. It has the cool thing about it is you start at like this school. You get like an hour or two into it, and then it just opens up. It's just like you can fucking go wherever. And you really can. Like I stumbled into with my level 10 Pokemon fighting level 40s on accident and just got wiped. So
Mm,
it does have like a here is a path that you can take, but no, you can start at the 8th gym if you would want to and try that. It does the Arceus thing a little bit where you can like throw your Pokemon out and they're not in bushes, they're just always running around. Um
right.
and that causes problems with the game's performance. And it's why when you go into a city, there's only 5 people walking around, and they're walking around like
Right.
single
Yeah.
digit frames. There is a windmill that should be pretty fluid, but the thing is moving like a clock. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty rough. The game has been out for a few months. Doesn't look like they are going to patch it.
They don't need to
They
because
don't need
people
to.
like you keep buying it and playing it, and then
Yeah,
they don't care.
you're right.
They
So
literally released a game a year ago that has better graphics than this game.
right, yeah. Like
Yeah.
Arceus does look better than this game. And yeah, it's got bad writing. It's I think the new Pokemon are terrible. Like I didn't really care for it. It was my game of like I want to grind through something. So I basically went from Symphony of War to this. So um
Just wait when they launch the Pokemon Scarlet, remaster, and it'll have Arceus graphics,
right, yeah.
but it'll be like $70.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that, I
Yeah.
guess?
Yeah.
Guess you're making a
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom joke.
Yeah.
Um
Basically.
yeah, so that game was fine. Um my wife and I finished the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, which is one of the games I bought during the winter Steam sale. And that game is like Norco level graphics. It is
Okay.
about a this woman gets summoned to this town to excavate a barrow, and it's a fictitious town called Bewley that's set in England. And all the people are weird and or interesting, and it's just got this mystery to it. Um, we maybe put 6, 7 hours into it. I think I have trouble with some of these games because maybe I'm just not. I don't play enough of them to like know that combining this and this will
Right.
produce Y, and you need to use it on this. And so it just becomes this thing where it's like, I don't know. I'm gonna look it up because I don't care enough to try and figure it out or like click around on everything. We definitely did try. We would backtrack often, and then we would just get to the point where it's just like, let's just look it up, and it's like I wouldn't know to do that. I'm not sure I would ever connect that together. um and I felt like we did that a little bit with Norco. We're just like, dude, I have no idea what to do at this point. And no matter who you talk to, they're just not giving you enough clues. Um, we did play it on the Steam Deck, so we did start
Okay.
it on this PC here, and then we got to a point to where it ran pretty good on the Steam Deck. You know, you were like using the stick to move a cursor around, um, but it worked for the most part. The ending was completely crazy. Um, what led up to the ending took maybe an hour too long, but the
Okay.
actual ending, you know, my wife is pretty good at like guessing the endings. Like she's always like, "Oh, that's the killer. Oh, that this or that's going to happen," and she's almost always right. She was like, "I had no idea this was going that direction." Like it really is pretty strange. Um I think if you like those types of games, you're gonna love this one. We do want to try the Case of the Golden Idol next. Um, but yeah, so that one was pretty good, and it's got some really good moments. Like Norco is just ridiculous. Like it
Yeah, yeah,
has that
yeah.
ridiculousness to it. So like, not to spoil this, this happens like 30 minutes into it. You go up to a bar. Um, when you've landed in Bewley and you the bar is like a tavern and it's where you're gonna stay at, right? It's like an inn and a tavern. Um, and outside there's a drunk guy, and you play like a woman, and this guy starts hitting on him, on the woman, and he's just like, "All right, give me a kiss." Well, the camera like zooms in, like it's a freeze frame of him just kind of like doing this, but
Yeah.
it's like it's just ridiculous looking, and I lost it like when it did. It was so funny. It's perfectly timed. Yeah, it's got some good moments. It's good writing in it too. And
Yeah.
I think it's got enough story beats to keep you going. It can just get a little frustrating at time, but I think that's kind of what these games do. Like these point and click adventure games, like they kind of have a little bit of frustrating elements to them. Um, I think if you're not a fan of those, there's probably not enough there, but I dug it. Um, all right, what else? Um, are you watching The Last of Us?
No.
Oh boy.
No. I so I'm one of the people that played the original Last of Us 1, Part 1 or whatever they want to call it. And thought it was just okay.
Okay.
Like I think it's just an okay video game. Um like the actual game part of it.
Sure.
Um the story to me is just like is fine. Like I didn't come away with it and go, that's the best story that I've ever been told in my whole
Right.
life, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it is like expertly voice acted, very well written, and like very well directed for like a video game. Like all of
Right.
Naughty Dog stuff is that way, from Spider-Man to Uncharted to now even like God of War and Horizon are all that way now. Like Sony puts a lot of emphasis on like writing and voice talent for those
Right.
games. Um, I didn't play Last of Us 2 for those reasons. It's like I don't need to do this. Um, I saw a lot of social media posts about this show. Um, and it shows like the game on one screen, like one
Yeah.
side of the screen, it does a dual screen, and then it shows the show on the other screen, and it's literally in sync with each other. Like
Right.
the video game characters are saying the exact same thing as like Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, and like they're doing the exact same motions, and like it's all like on beat. And I'm like, that's cool, I guess, but why? Like that's just all fan service. Like,
Right.
and I'm not a fan. So, like in a way that I really liked, like Obi-Wan or like some Star Wars thing or some like Mistborn thing, if it had like fan service in it, like yeah, I'd be totally into that. But for me, like I look at that and go, you you're just copying the
You
game.
made
Like
the
you're not
video
even doing
game.
anything different. Like
Right.
okay, like that's cool, but like again, it's really good actors. Um,
Yes.
you know, the guy who wrote and directed the video game is very much involved in this show, so of course it's going to be this way. Um, so yeah, I haven't watched it. Also knowing like that it's gonna just be a big bummer the whole time. Like I don't
Right.
really need that either.
Right.
Like the second Last of Us is even more that way.
Right.
Um, I I just I'm not a huge fan to begin with. I mean, I like zombie stuff. I like apocalyptic stuff, and I think it's just an okay one of those. From a story like perspective. Um, I don't know. I like the fanboys of any kind of property kind of blow things out of the water because you see people are like, this is the greatest story ever told, and it's like,
Mhm.
dude, you need to read more books. Like,
Right.
this is not the greatest story ever told. It's a fine story for a video game, yes,
Right.
but no, I'm sorry. Like in that case, you're wrong. Like there's other really good stories and really good movies and really good TV shows out there than Last of Us. But
So,
I'm interested to hear what you have to say though.
well, I'm
That
coming from a different direction because I didn't play the video game.
yeah.
So, to me, I'm episode 1, I thought it started out really strong, and then I think once it gets into the after the fact, like, okay, we're in it. It's like a couple years into it, maybe not that long, but society is like now has like these pockets area or these within city walls. Um and I thought that was kind of just like, okay, whatever. Like there's nothing a whole lot special to that. Episode 2 thought it was okay. Episode 3 was fucking awesome. Like episode 3 will probably win an award. How well it was acted, the story it told. Um it will be talked about all year. I'm sure it'll get nominated for some award and will probably win it. It was pretty good. Um get back to things with episode 4. And that's the one, if you've seen social media this week, where she finds they're in Bill's truck in the video game. Bill was implied to be a gay man. Show very much like they explore that whole story. So like where
Yeah,
his
she finds the nudie mag
yeah,
when
and
he
that
when they
was
leave his house.
yeah, and
It's
that
but
was
it's guys, but it's guys. It's not like girls. It's not Playboy.
right.
It's like I don't know what publication a men's one would be.
Right. So in the game, they don't really touch on that too much. Like I don't think like they're like Bill is a homosexual. I don't think that
Oh, I
they
totally thought he was.
okay. So I'd never played the game. But what I seen was like it was implied. It wasn't like they didn't go into like you're not playing
No,
Bill.
yeah, no, it definitely doesn't like hit you over the head, but I feel like there's a part where he says like his partner, like he says the word partner,
Okay.
and
But
then
that's
like
it,
she
right?
finds and then like yeah, then they're like driving down the highway. Well,
Oh, okay.
his I can't remember his partner's name, but like he ends up like dead. I mean, the game's really old. I'm not spoiling anything.
Sure.
And I don't know if the show does the same thing or not. Um, but like oh god, Joel is talking to Bill about this dead guy, and he's like, "So is this?" And he's like, "Yeah, blah 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 blah."
That's my partner.
And then yeah, then as they're like driving away from there, Ellie's got the nudie mag, and it's dudes,
Right.
and she's like checking it out, and she's like,
Okay, so
"Why are all
that's
these
how
pages
they
stuck together?"
that's how
Like,
they right, okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
show, they pretty much dedicate a whole episode to their relationship. And it
Okay,
was
and
fantastic.
this is Nick Offerman as Bill, right? This is
Yes.
his okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um and it was really really it was such a good episode. And then episode 4 gets right back on track of with Joel and Ellie. And yeah, it's good. It's fine. It's fun to watch. It's pulling in numbers. They've already announced season 2. The next episode will come out on the day that this episode drops, because they're getting out of the way of the Super Bowl. I mean, it's pulling in crazy numbers.
They already announced season 2 for real.
Yeah,
Is this season supposed to be the whole game? The whole
the
first
first
game?
season, yeah, or the first game, yeah. They said that season 2 I'm sorry, so they're gonna tell the story of 2 in 2 seasons. At least that's what they're shooting for.
Okay.
I don't know anything about
Yeah.
the games, Rich, so
Yeah, I know. I'm laughing for a reason, because of something that happens early on in 2, the
okay,
Last of Us Part 2, the video game, um, that I really can't say anything about without
okay.
tipping it off.
Yeah,
Um,
I've not played them. You know, I've heard the podcast, people talk about them, but, you know, if
did
I
did
listen
you
to
play Uncharted?
yeah, I played the first 3 Uncharteds, and then I played some of 4, and I noped right out of it because I don't care for that gameplay, which I think The
So
Last
I
of Us is kinda similar, right?
yes, yeah, the
Yeah,
first game definitely is, and the second game it builds upon it a little bit, and it is a little bit different. Or it's quite a bit different, but it's a lot. They kill a lot of people, man.
yeah.
Kill a lot of people.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's kind of a bummer. Like, that whole thing is a bummer. It's like all the bummer parts of, like, a Game of Thrones or, uh, like, even the Witcher video games that are just like, "Oh, man, that sucks." Like, this whole thing sucks, you know?
yeah, you can't
Like,
throw them a bone every now and then. It's
yeah,
just
nothing good ever happens. Yeah, yeah.
mm. I mean, there's some good moments with Joe and Ellie where you know, you're starting to see Joel like
Yes.
create this
Yes.
bond, but like something fucked up's gonna happen. So like it's not gonna last. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I think they're alluding to like these like super mutants that are about to start popping off. So
Mm,
because there's a massive crater. This is a spoiler for episode 4, but there's like a massive crater, and it looks like the crater's breathing. So it's just like, all right, well, what's underneath there?
gonna be locusts.
That can't be good, right? Well,
Marcus Phoenix is gonna come out of nowhere.
they're cordyceps in this game. They're the mushroom
Yeah,
things. Ooh,
yeah.
God, when the thing opens its mouth and you see the little, that's fun. Yeah, it's
The
the
tickers?
yeah, but like they're different in this game because they kind of introduce like like how the virus is spread is a little different. So, and I get
Ah,
it cuz like Pedro Pascal doesn't want to play another character where he's wearing a mask, 90% of the show.
right.
So it's spread a little different. It's not just like an airborne flu like thing. So, um gosh, what else? What else are we watching? I watched The Menu. That movie wasn't that great. It's,
Mm,
a lot of people talk about it. It's on Letterbox all the time. I didn't like it.
okay.
Talk to me about some Star Wars shit, man. What's been going on there?
Oh boy, yeah, I haven't had a ton of time to play video games. I've been busy with family stuff and work, but I have been riding my bike a lot and exercising a lot, and when I'm doing that, I'm watching Clone Wars. Um, uh, I finished Clone Wars, so I'm completely done
Oh
with
my
Clone Wars.
gosh, wow. How
Finished
many
season 7.
episodes? How many episodes is there altogether? Do you know?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably somewhere around probably like 130 or 150, I'd say.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in there. Because each season's like 20 or so. Maybe there's more than 150. It's a lot.
I
It's
mean,
quite a bit.
at first I was like, dude, that's a lot of fucking Star. But I'm 100 episodes into a show I really don't care for, which is Dragon Ball Z. So I don't have a whole lot of room to talk. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, by the time you get to like season 6 of that show, there's only 7 seasons. Like, they hit a point like halfway through season 6 where they're like, all right, let's wrap this thing up. Like, we're gonna wrap this
right,
thing up. And then like season 6 ends and it goes into season 7, and season 7 is just like gas pedal fucking 100 miles an hour. To the basically to the end of that show. Um man, it's it's definitely one of the better Star Wars things that exists.
mm,
Um like, I really liked Andor, I've really liked Obi-Wan, Mandalorian's great. Um Good to great. Boba Fett was okay. But this is really good. It's up there. even with some of the original movies, it's up there
Wow.
in my opinion with the story that it tells and the characters that it builds on and kind of fleshes out. It it really kind of fills in all the gaps from the 1, 2, and 3, the prequels. Um, fills in a lot of those gaps. It makes you care a lot more about those characters. About
Mm,
Anakin and Padme and Ahsoka. Ahsoka's the big part of that series. Um, yeah, it. I mean, we all know what happens at the end of Order 66 and all the Jedi. Get killed. We all know about all that. Like seeing that from a different perspective that happens in this series.
mhm.
You get to see it from a different perspective, and that just kind of rips your heart out a little bit. Um, yeah, there's some really rough stuff in there for a
Wow.
kid show.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really really good. Really great voice acting. Great great everything. Everything about it's great. There's definitely some like stinkers like in like seasons 2, 3, 4. Like not every it's a 22-minute long TV show. Like not all of them are going to be bangers. Um, but you should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
It's a commitment, but they are short. But there's if you're interested in Star Wars, there's definitely stuff there you wanna know about.
My
Yeah,
interest in Star Wars like dips and wanes. Like, I
yeah.
think there's a lot of bad Star Wars out there, and I felt like I've consumed all that, which kind of sucks. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It is such a commitment, but
yeah. So I went right from that into Rebels, Star Wars
okay.
Rebels, which is the follow-up animated kids show, which is great. It picks up right where that left off in a
Really?
way,
Okay. Wow.
and just kinda keeps going with that vibe. It's got a very, kinda Firefly vibe to it with, like, this kinda crew, and they got a ship. It's very Firefly in the beginning, and it's kind of now kinda transposing a
Is
little
it
bit.
like all new characters or is it characters?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
It's most it like, your main cast is all new, but then it starts, introducing characters that and, you
Sure.
know, have a history with, both old and new. Um it knows what it's doing. It's Dave Filoni. It's the same guy who's in charge of Star Wars now and, did Clone Wars and now
What a
did Rebels.
job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. At some point, Thrawn is going to show up in this, and I haven't made it there yet. And then that's like the big story for Rebels is Grand
Mhm.
Admiral Thrawn. So I'm interested to see. I haven't made it quite there. I'm in season 2 of Rebels. Um, I think there's 4 seasons of Rebels, so I should be getting close to when they like this is after Order 66 when it's the Empire and you have inquisitors are hunting down Jedi, and that's kind of uh the main story that's being told during this is like the Inquisitors.
So what's after Rebels?
Rebels, then it's Bad Batch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which that has a new season coming out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the Bad Batch is introduced in season 7 of Clone Wars, the last season of Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
Those characters, there's a like 3 episode arc with those characters, and they're fucking awesome. So I can't
Oh.
wait to get to Bad Batch.
Sweet.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, they're
Oh,
fantastic.
cool.
Yeah.
Does Clone Wars do that often where they'll do like 3 episode, 2 episode arcs that kind of
Yes.
wraps up, like
Yes.
essentially an hour of TV?
Yes. And
Okay.
those are the best. And like those are arguably the best parts of it. There are some that are like just single episodes that are really good.
Hmm.
But those arcs, there's several of those arcs throughout the whole series that are just fantastic. They are very similar to um like the TV shows they're doing now, telling that kind of story. Yeah.
Mandalorian comes out soon, doesn't it?
Yep. Sure does. Sure does.
All right. What else? What else you got?
Oh boy. No, that's it. Nothing else for me.
No movies. You're not a movie guy much, are you?
I am. I just don't have the I just don't make the time. And like
Yeah,
unless it's something like I'm really interested in, then no. Like I'm not gonna like load up like very rarely will I load up Netflix and watch some random thing,
right.
you know.
Is there anything like is there a movie that would get you to the theater this year?
Oh, I mean I would go up Mario. I'll go watch Mario.
Okay, yeah.
I'll take my kid and go watch that. Yeah. Um what else comes out this year movie
So
wise?
I'm pretty committed to seeing John Wick. Like that'll be
Yeah.
one that I will go see in theater.
Yeah.
Um I thought that my kids would be a little more interested in Ant-Man, um, but they are not. So we'll probably just
What
wait for
what
that one.
what do you think about the whole James Gunn like DC thing? Like that's all gotten really
Oh
weird
my
lately.
gosh, yes. That would be yeah. So they did like a I don't know what it was like a 7 to 8 minute video of just him talking. And
Yep.
he's essentially like where Marvel puts on these like massive like uh uh Comic-Con panels of like here's phase 5. James
Right.
Gunn comes out here and he's just like, "All right, bitches. Here's phase 1 of DC." And as a person that like, I dabble in everything. Like I'm not an expert on anything. I dabble in everything. My interest is pretty wide. They sure announce a lot of shit I've never heard of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and so like I guess they're starting out with uh the Flash is supposed to like reset things. So this movie that is like riddled with so much controversy because this Ezra Miller guy is kind of like an asshole and starts
Right.
bar fights all the time. And so like they're moving forward with him. They're keeping some characters. I've heard a rumor that like Ben Affleck is supposed to direct something. It really feels like they're still not sure what they're doing. They're
Well,
just
I
like
the thing that I hate is like they're doing the Marvel thing with Spider-Man. They're like, "Oh, well, Robert Pattinson's Batman, like
right,
that's not my Batman, that's some other guy's Batman. That's not
yeah.
my Batman. Batman, Batman, Batman."
And
And
then
it's
the
just like,
Joker, the Joker with whatever that
right.
new one
Yep.
is, it's supposed to be a musical or something. They're like, that's separate. Don't pay
Yeah.
attention to that. That's not canon
Like,
in the James Gunniverse or whatever.
yeah, like what are you doing, man? Like I, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna launch this whole fucking Marvel verse, DC verse thing, and it's gonna fucking flop because people are already tired of the Marvel verse. Like
Right,
you were super committed to the Marvel verse, and like the last 3 movies have just you've been like, nope.
right,
Like, I'm not like I mean I liked Endgame and like the Avengers movies,
yeah,
but like I'm not super invested in it. But you're not the only person that I know of that's just like, yeah, it's kind of jumped the shark. Like it's
right.
jumped itself now. Yeah.
Like it really ended well. Like
It did.
they
Yeah.
kind of
No,
killed
yeah.
it in terms of
Yeah.
like man in
Yeah.
game and like that whole I mean dude it was very
I I mean
emotional and
I mean, well well's a big word. I mean, the ending of Endgame is kinda maybe a little ham-fisted with all the time travel bullshit. Uh,
so
but
that's true
but it
but it
but it
kind
did
of had
end.
like a
It
yeah
fucking ended. Yeah, that's the important part. Yeah, it fucking ended. Yeah,
and
yeah.
so yeah it does feel weird because it's like 5 years ago I was kind of like why won't DC just fucking do the Marvel thing instead of having all this weird shit and like they're just not committing to anything. And now they're like, all right, here we go. Here's a bunch of weird DC stuff that's like, they're I don't have the list up in front of me, but they announced like 8 or 9 properties and they're doing shows. And one of the weird things that kind of threw me off is like the games are going to be part of the canon too. And I just
Mm,
don't know how the fuck they could pull that off. I do not understand how they can say all right, fucking Arkham Asylum is now canon. And it's just like the games take so long. I don't see how that's going to play into it. That doesn't make sense to me. But they're doing, like HBO has like a huge thing of DC. Like if you ever been on like HBO Max or whatever the app is, um there's always like a huge section for all their DC stuff. So they're pretty committed to it. And I mean, their DC does have some cool properties, but there's a lot of properties that they announced that I've never heard of. And I know I'm
Yeah.
not super clued into it, but it's just like kind of like with like Ant-Man. Ant-Man was kind of just like, I don't who gives a fuck about Ant-Man? And it's fun because they got a good actor to play it, and it's got the Marvel snark to it. Like those are fun movies to watch. But DC is like more serious, and I think it like the tone of it doesn't really set with everyone. And
Yeah,
so
but is it gonna be like Peacemaker? Like, see, I didn't like that Suicide Squad movie was okay.
I thought
The
it was
second
fine.
one,
Yeah, it was
but
fine,
see,
right?
but then they for me, they spun off the worst part. Like, I didn't like John Cena's character at all, and like if that's and then James Gunn wrote that TV show. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
that's
See,
where we're
I
going. I'm
I
not
liked
interested in that.
Peacemaker. I thought it was
Yeah,
stupid. And I liked that about it. I like that's I've said that a lot on the shows. Like get fucking weird with it cuz now it's like they've ran the gambit. I've watched 22 shows or movies
yeah,
that is like kind of like been the comic style, and then it's like James Gunn comes out and he's just like, "All right, the villain is a fucking whatever that big monster was at the end of Suicide Squad," and it's just like, that's cool or whatever. Like it was fine, but I don't know if you're gonna get me of like, all right, here's the next 10 movies. Like I may watch them. I don't know though. Like
yeah.
I really don't have interest in the Flash. Um
No, I don't either.
and that's supposed to be like this that's the Iron Man of this whole thing.
Oh
And
boy.
so I'm already like I'm not sure. I may watch it, but um yeah, and like it all seems like even though they're committing to something, it still seems disjointed from each other. So I don't know really where it.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll be interesting.
so there was a yeah, there was a Nintendo. Like, do we want to talk about the Xbox
Yeah,
thing
yeah, I've
that
got
from a
some
couple
stuff I
weeks
wanna talk
ago?
about there.
All right, let's
Yeah,
talk about it.
yeah,
Once you
yeah,
kick this off.
so they did a Xbox Developer Direct is what they called it, which I guess upset all the Nintendo people that they used the word direct because
Whatever.
Nintendo's supposed to have be I guess Nintendo has that copyrighted,
Yeah,
I don't know.
right.
Um, so they only announced they had 5 games that were gonna be there, they kinda said ahead of time. Um, and, like, said, like, Starfield's not we're not showing Starfield, that's gonna get its own separate event. So they showed off Minecraft Legends, which comes out in April. That is a Minecraft kind of real-time strategy base building game. Looks kinda
Yeah,
interesting. Um,
kinda. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not a big
Um,
PvP guy, and they really leaned into that part of it. So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll, see how I. Hey, I'll be able to play it on Game Pass, so
Yep.
that's cool.
Yep. Yep. They also showed off the next, Forza Motorsport, which is supposed to come out this year, but I guess they still haven't given a date. Um, hey, guess what? That has really good looking cars and
It sure
tracks.
does.
Not much to say there. The big one was Redfall. So Redfall is the new game from Arcane, a la Deathloop, Prey. Uh, what's the other game?
Dishonored.
Dishonored.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is the new game from that studio. And this actually kind of surprised me because when they first announced Redfall, I think everybody assumed it was like a Left 4 Dead kind of game because it had like 4 characters and you're like running through and you're killing vampires instead of zombies, but like whatever. Um, but it's not that at all, at all. Um, the way that one of the developers at Arcane described it is This is what our version of Far Cry would be if we made our own Far Cry game.
Yeah, specifically Far Cry 2, they said,
Yes. Yes.
which I've never played that
Which
one, but
I did. I
okay.
did.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
It's open world. It's crazy. It had those crazy fire physics in it. Like if you started a fire anywhere in that game, you would get
Oh,
just burned
shit.
alive. Which was really funny. Um, but yeah, so it is a co-op or single player game. It's open world, and you're kind of going through to these running these different missions and killing different bosses and vampires and it is not a Left 4 Dead or Back for Blood or Anacrusis type of game. It
At
is
all.
it is at all. No, not at
Huh.
all.
All right.
It actually looks really cool. I after seeing I was kind of interested in it a little bit, but a little wary um about the whole Left 4 Dead thing, but it's just not that. So now I'm even more interested in it.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I've definitely fallen off Dark Tide. Back for Blood
Yeah.
didn't really do it for me. Those games I just, I think they're fine, but I don't typically play them. So,
Dark Tide is really fun. It just has no progression. Like
right.
the progression in it is broken. Like you don't
Which
progress enough and get new abilities and
apparently they're working on that. Like, aren't they
yeah.
coming out and
Oh,
saying
they
that
have to be.
yeah, that they're because I think it gets enough where they're like, okay, we can commit to this for a while. So,
Right. Right. So yeah, I'm excited for Redfall. I think that did get a release date. It comes out May 2nd.
oh, okay,
Um,
wow.
yep. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. I'll definitely play that. I mean, it will be on Game Pass again. So,
Hmm.
and then they stealth dropped Hi-Fi Rush at the end. So that was the other big announcement there.
No, Rich, no,
What?
you're forgetting a game.
The Elder Scrolls
Yeah, come
Online Necrom?
on,
No,
man,
nobody's playing that.
dude.
The only person,
Did you
the
listen to
only,
their pitch? They're like, "Hey, you can play Morrowind, you can play Oblivion, you can visit Skyrim in here. We got it all. It's right here on Game
yeah,
Pass. Just load it up. Come on. The water's warm, you all. Come on in.
yeah.
It feels really
You're
good to play."
and you're the only person that'll do it. Yep, because you play the first 15 minutes of every one of these expansions.
I have, and I've followed off. You know, I sent you that TikTok of that guy, and I really think that I'm just like him. I have started The Witcher, I have started Skyrim, I've
Uh,
started these huge RPGs, and I always nope out of them.
yeah,
I've actually finished Skyrim. I have finished that, but I mainlined it. I played 20 hours of it, and I was done. But anytime I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna check out the Dark Brotherhood or in The Witcher. I'm like, all right, here we go. Fucking,
yeah.
I'm gonna do this again, and I'll get to a point, and I'm just like, it's too much. I got other things I would just rather play. I don't know why I do it. I can't commit. It's hard.
Those are the best parts of those games, though.
I know.
Yeah.
I something doesn't click with me.
Mm,
So, and that's Elder Scrolls Online. I did it with Final Fantasy 14. I it just it I gave it a good shot, and it failed to grab me. I
mm.
loved the way that this was laid out.
Yes.
I loved that they got a little more intimate. You got the devs and I'd say the publishers were there as well, but you got the devs and the publishers just like staring at you, talking about their game, being passionate about it. I love the Hi-Fi Rush moment. I mean, you can really tell that they were so excited. I mean, go play it. It's there.
Right.
It's on it. You can hit the download button right now. Um, and that one super worked out for them. I mean, people are like, "That's gonna be it could be game of the year." Like, top. That'll be in my top 10. It might be in my top 10. I don't know. Um, but I did like how they laid that out.
Yes.
Um, now there was a Nintendo Direct, and I did not watch it because I was away.
Yeah, I haven't either. It was today, the day we're recording this podcast. Um, so apparently they showed some more of Zelda.
All right.
Tears of the Kingdom, which I don't really know much about. I don't know if it's like the same map as Breath of the Wild and they've just put stuff in the sky, but all I've ever seen of that game is just islands floating in the sky. Looks like a
Yeah.
mod um for Breath of the Wild. Uh
All right.
Definitely running in like that same engine, uh it's going to be $70.
Yeah.
Did they announce a release date? May 12th. That comes out May 12th. Um
Uh, what are where are you with this game?
Oh, I just don't care. Like,
You
I have a
know,
Switch. I have a Switch. I might play it. Maybe I'll
yeah,
let my kids watch me play it. Maybe that'll be the game I can get them into.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I never finished Breath of the Wild. I got, like, right up to the point
Oh,
where I needed to run the castle and then didn't.
oh, okay.
Like, I had done everything else and then
All
just
right.
didn't want to do the castle. Um, I I mean, I'll probably try it. I'll see how, I'll see. I'll watch some people stream it and see what's
You'll
up.
you'll see all the tens it'll get.
Yeah. Oh,
All right.
yes. Of course it will. Yeah. Um, let's see. There's an Advanced Wars 1 and 2 reboot, which
Did you ever play
okay,
those?
they're fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
They're
they're fine.
they're okay.
I don't really
Um,
have like I don't need to go play them again.
they have Game Boy and Game Boy Advance on the Nintendo Switch Online, which okay, that's
Hey,
important to some people,
do you ever
not to
play
me.
the Okay. I don't either.
Not to me. Like,
Uh,
it's really cool that that's all there. I'm never gonna go back and play those games that way.
all right.
Um,
It's 2023, baby.
yeah, yeah. Metroid Prime Remake. Although this headline says remake and then the title says remastered. That's 2 very different things.
Mm.
Um, so it says Metroid Prime Remastered is in the logo, like the official logo. Apparently that's coming out like in 2 weeks, so that's been in the works for a while.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It was definitely rumored that it was going to be the whole trilogy, and I thought that was hilarious because there's no way that Nintendo would give us 3 games.
Right, yeah. So it
They
looks
ain't
like they
about
added,
that.
like, dual stick controls, um,
Oh, cool. All right.
so that'll be cool. Pikmin 4,
Okay.
okay. They need something, and then they're bringing back, Samba de Amigo.
All right.
Uh, that was a was that was a
Was
Wii
that
game, right? It
was
was
that like a
maracas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
It was
Um,
originally Dreamcast and then the Wii.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. Eh, the whole dancing and, like, music game thing kinda died, and maybe this'll bring it back.
I still think Just Dance is like pretty popular with kids.
Really.
Yeah, I think the sales of that is like still really strong
How do you play that now?
with the Switch, you know,
Oh, the
the Joy-Cons. So
Joy-Cons?
I think it
Mm,
probably tracks your movement just kind of like how Ring Fit would track your movement, you know? Like
okay.
it definitely
My
guesses.
daughter would really like that. I never thought about that. She would really like that, actually.
They're
Hmm.
pretty popular.
I I thought so, but then, isn't it EA that develops those?
I think that might be an Ubisoft
Ubisoft. No,
thing.
it's Ubisoft, and they're, like, in the shitter. Like, they're having a rough time right
They
now.
totally are, and they would be even further in the shitter if they didn't have Just Dance.
Okay, okay, okay. Oh, boy. Let's see, there's something called Fashion Dreamer, which is where you can be a fashion influencer simulator.
Great.
That sounds terrible. Um, and then the Dead Cells Return to Castlevania game that was already announced back at
Yep.
the Game Awards, and then a new Ghost Trick game from Capcom.
Hmm.
Oh, and a
Okay.
Katamari game.
Yeah, I'll probably get that.
Yeah.
My wife
And then
likes Katamari.
Splatoon 3, that's already been announced, so,
Well, that's already
um
out.
oh,
It's
that's
getting
out. This is DLC.
Yeah, there you
Okay.
go.
Um, a Disney Illusion Island that's, like, in the animation style of the, cartoon. It is the Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Yeah.
It's like very a little harder, a little harsher, like animation.
Like maybe a
Yep.
little bit of
Maybe a little
not
like
epic,
Cupheady.
not epic. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and something called Harmony: The Fall of Reverie. Oh, it's from
Uh
Don't Nod. It's from Don't Nod, so it's the,
oh, the
Life
Life
is
is
Strange
Strange.
people.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that checks out. Yep. And then a new Professor Layton.
I've never played a
I
yeah,
never played one of those.
yeah,
Those were
me
DS
neither.
games, right?
Yes. Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Something called Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. Has some interesting art style. It's an Animal Crossing like where you rebuild an island by collecting resources to bring everything back to life. Sounds like an
Oh.
Ashley game. Uh,
Yeah. Little harvesting, little
ooh,
decoration.
adds in-depth cooking.
Mm.
Yeah. And then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Course because why not?
So last night I was playing Lord of the Rings Journey to Middle Earth. And that is a board game. It's a campaign style game. Really fun. It got to the last move, and if we did not like skill check it correctly, we would have lost. Like it however they whoever has to like play test those to get that right, that I'm sure that takes a ton of work because my gosh, it anyway, my
Yeah.
friend's wife like loves this shit out of Mario Kart and plays it all the time. And that's just not me. I don't get it. But you know, if you're in that scene of like trying to um improve your score, like you love that chase of it, I can see why you'd be into that, but I'm just not. Um but more power to
Yep.
her. You want to talk about some games that are coming out?
Yeah, so to the not today, but, in 2 days, it's, Hogwarts Legacy.
You gonna get it?
That's the big game coming out. I'm on a wait and see on that. It is reviewing
Okay.
very well.
Yeah.
Uh, I think IGN gave it a 9. Um,
I haven't seen any other big, so I don't know if they had like like a, some sort of deal where they would review it first. But I haven't seen other now I know there's a lot of companies that are like boycotting it. They're like, nope, we're not going to cover it, which to each
yep.
their own. But I haven't seen like any other huge outlets review that game yet. So
Yeah, I
um,
haven't either.
y- if
I was
you
gonna wait and see, like, some people stream it and
right,
like, what it is. I mean, I'm not a Potterhead or, like, into the Potterverse all
I
that much,
I'm not
um,
either.
but it could be interesting.
Yeah. Um, so we will probably pick that up, and I'm having the debate with my family if they're gonna watch me play it, or they can play it. Obviously, we'll get it on the Xbox, but it is deck verified, and I
Oh,
I would like to play it on that if I could. So I'm like, hey, if we commit, we got to play this 30-40 hour RPG together. And I'm committing to playing it on the TV. Where if they're like, oh, I feel like we're gonna get 5 hours into it, and they'll be like, Dad, you can play this, and I'll be like, shit, I would have rather had it on Switch so I can play it on the deck, but um, yeah. So that is coming out this Friday. Um, some other big games. There's a Souls of Kronos, which is supposed to be like a good indie game. City Skyline is getting a console release on the 15th, I think.
mm,
Returnal is coming to PC. Um, that's that like loop game. Um, that's supposed to be really good. It was a PS5, PS4 exclusive.
exclusive. Yep.
So that is coming to PC. And then there is a new Theater Rhythm game, which is the Final Fantasy line. Actually, so I played my first Tales game last year with Tales of Arise, and was excited to see Tales of Symphonia being released. But if you look, um, it's not getting a PC release, which I thought was interesting because
Uh,
you can play the original Tales of Symphonia right now on Steam if you wanted to. So I thought that was kind of like a miss there. I would rather play that on the deck than sit at a
right.
TV and play that. Um Another big game, well, there's three big games coming out this month that I want to play. It is Hogwarts, it is Atomic Hearts, and it is
Mm,
Like a Dragon
yep.
Ishin.
There it is.
Yeah, so um Like a Dragon, okay, so I have next Monday off work. Not this coming Monday, but I have President's Day off work. If you get the deluxe edition of Like a Dragon Ishin, you can get
Nope.
it. You can play
Nope.
it 4 days early, which means I
Nope.
could unlock it, Rich, at 1500 GMT time, which would be noon my time.
You shouldn't do that.
So I'm going to get the deluxe edition so I can play that 4 days early. I'm taking off work to paint ceilings and play this video game. I will play it on here, and when I'm not at my computer, I will. It is deck verified already, just like all the other RGG games are. So, um, and Atomic Hearts looks fun. I think that could be. I'm hoping it is like weird and plays well, and it's coming to Game Pass, so I'm pretty excited about that. Um, Looking at the rest of the list here, there is Octopath Traveler 2. I did not play the first one. It is on Game Pass, but it looks like it's way too long. Um, my son would be very interested in Return to Dreamland, which is the next Kirby game. Um, and then Kerbal Space Program 2 is coming out.
That's that's all me.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that a lot.
You know, I know we haven't streamed lately, but you should get to a point to where you got some cool shit to show off, and I want you to stream that game.
Okay.
Like, we'll
Okay.
pick a Sunday or a Tuesday or something, and let's stream that because
Yeah.
I don't know
Launch
much
some
about that.
rockets.
I don't know much about that game at all. So, Company Heroes 3 PC on the 23rd. I know I'm going backwards a little bit here. So, and again, I was playing board games last night with some friends. They were talking about Blood Bowl and how that's like a huge Warhammer world. It's like fantasy football in a way.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Apparently it's like super popular. And then the third one is coming out next, not next week, but the week after. Um, it's a pretty heavy February.
It
Um,
is.
a lot of stuff. I don't know when February became the November video game
Uh,
releases, but
when people couldn't release their games in November anymore,
right, had to push
they
it.
have to release them in February. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
must have been it.
Sons of the Forest also comes out this month. That's the follow-up to The Forest, which is a really big like cult like stick and stone game, crafting game.
Sons of
Um
the Force. I don't even see it on this list.
yeah, it's February 23rd, right before Kerbal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see it now. Hold on, let me click.
Yeah. Yeah. You've definitely seen The Forest before because it's always all over Steam.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, and then that doesn't include all the stuff that Nintendo just announced, like where the Metro Prime Remaster comes out today. So
Yep.
and that is going to Rich. You got anything else?
Mm-mm. Nope.
What are you up to? Uh oh geez, we've got some fun chats in here. So what are you up to these next couple weeks? What are you looking forward to?
I really want to try to finish Hi-Fi Rush. And then I really want to dig into Disco Elysium. So I kind of
Oh,
started
right.
that game on the
Sure.
deck. It's kind of like just fucking around with the deck when I bought it. And I really want to kind of dig into that in a big way. That's a game you got to kind of sit down and really kind of dig into. I feel like.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my goal here over the next couple weeks is to finish Hi-Fi Rush and start digging into just get far enough into Disco Elysium that I understand what's going on, that I can then just kind of pick it up and play it as I need to.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to work on I'm gonna play Like a Dragon, hopefully pick up Hogwarts and see what that game's all about. And finish Mistborn and finish book 3 of Berserk.
Mm.
Those are gonna be my focuses. So yeah, lots of cool stuff coming up. So let's do this one right here. Thank you all so much for watching, for listening tonight. If you want to check out any of our past shows, you can go to bitpunch.tech. If you want to send us an email, we can read that on the show. You can send that to emails at bitpunch.tech. You can follow us on Twitch and Twitter at BitPunch. You can check out our archive streams on our YouTube channel at /user/BitPunch. And check out our newsletter at bitpunch.substack.com. All of these links can be found on our website at bitpunch.tech. And thank you all so much again. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a couple weeks. Have a good night.
Bye.